Well, hello everybody. My name is Hagen Javier, and this is my first go at a podcast. Welcome to Zarpado, a passion podcast. I just wanted to take a second to reflect on why I'm doing this. I feel like I'll go into more detail as time goes by and as this first episode records. I mean, if I'm being quite honest, I've never really done anything like this. I've always wanted to, but I never really knew what it would be about or what I could speak about. But speaking, for those of you that know me, has always been a passion of mine. And whether that be through public speaking, communicating with others, just having a conversation, or what I studied in college, communication, it's always been kind of my thing. Not a math guy. I love music, but I wouldn't call myself a musician. I'm definitely not an artist. But, words, speaking, that's kind of my thing. So I wanted to try my hand at starting a podcast, to catch you guys up a little bit on my life where I'm at right now. I am currently in Buenos Aires, Argentina. I finished college in June, and I decided that I wanted to move to Buenos Aires. I had heard some pretty good things about it, and, as most college kids, fresh, either in college or fresh out of college, don't have a lot of money. So I looked up places where my dollar would go a little bit further. And I kind of feel like everything that has happened to me, whether through college, after, before, everything. I mean, I'm a firm believer that everything happens for a reason. But now more than ever, as I'm out here living this life on my own, I'm really starting to see that my path is starting to unfold. And I'm just doing my best to enjoy the time that I have while I have it. And the next best thing that I could think of was to start a podcast. I have some reasons why, and I'm going to go into it. But without further ado, I wrote down some words that I wanted to explain, give you guys kind of an understanding of why I'm doing this and what the name Zarpado, which I have chosen as the title of this podcast, and what that means. For years, I've always wanted to have my own podcast, a place where I can share some of these amazing conversations with people that I've had all around the world. Our world is such a huge place. And it's impossible to know how truly big it is until you go out into it. And in order to do so, you have to be able to see it with your own two eyes. I wanted to take a quick second to thank my friend Zach Silvert, who is currently living in Spain. Zach helped me come up with this idea. Not this idea specifically, but the idea to find something that I was passionate about, something, in his words, to keep busy while we're out here on this growth path in our chapter in our lives. When I moved to Argentina, I wasn't expecting anything. I knew that whatever I quote unquote thought these next 6 months of my life would be like would ultimately be completely different, if not opposite, of what my life had in store. I spoke to Zach randomly one day before I was close to leaving for Argentina. I remember him telling me that I need to prepare myself to open my mind wide open. He said that he already took me to be a pretty open-minded individual, but that whatever I thought my experience would be like would ultimately end up being completely different than I could ever imagine. So drop the expectations and prepare to let whatever comes your way simply come. Powerful words from Zach, because now, and I'm about 2 months into my travels here, I never would have expected the things that happen to happen. Whether that be the friends that I've met, the experiences that I've had so far, or just things that I've learned about myself on a daily basis as I'm currently out living in the world for the first time on my own, supporting myself and chasing after what it is that I want to do. Which, to give you guys kind of some insight, I have not a clue what that is. But I'll tell you what, I'm circling. I'm getting close, and I got a feeling that this is going to be a part of it in some way, shape, or form. One thing that I had anticipated that was going to happen was that I was going to find much needed time to reflect, grow, develop, and pursue my passions. While I had no idea what this time would specifically look like, I did anticipate that it would happen. And as you may guess, it took moments of stress, confusion, and uncomfortability to place focus on this growth mindset. But what happened in order to bring me to where I'm at right now. This podcast is the sum of my desires, gratitudes for the amazing, unique, cool people that I've met around the world. In all my travels, which I am far from everywhere I want to be, I wanted to create a way to share these amazing, unique people that I've met and the conversations that we've had with other people back at home or to my friends in Brazil. Share my amazing friends from Argentina with the friends that I made there, or to the friends that I made traveling through China. Share those amazing conversations with the people who were a part of my tour group back in 2019, right before the world paused. That's a story for another day. I realized the importance for this podcast on a few fronts. The first and most obvious for anybody who knows me is passion. When I meet new people here in Argentina, within 5 minutes, I would ask them what their passions were. It was always funny to see the reactions that I would get because they always varied. I would meet new people who seemed to have their answers locked and loaded. I met one girl who said she feels like her passions change every week. I met others who knew their passion instantly, but knew or wanted to have only one. Some people would have concrete reasons as to why they only wanted one passion, And others would feel limited to one passion because they had no idea that you were able to only have more than one. Then there were the majority of the group, in this age group from 20 to 25, most commonly, that felt as if they were still trying to pursue their passion and that they were, at the moment, a little lost, unsure of what their passions may be. No matter where I went and asked this question, I found that this was the most common answer: the lack of recognition for one's passions. And then it hit me. Help people find their passions, whether it be with individuals on the show or for people listening to me via this podcast. Whatever it may be, it will help someone at some time. The second front that I felt this could be important was because of the information that could be shared with people about opportunities, programs, and or industries that the world has to offer. I would have never learned about Viborg, an organization that I'll get a little bit more into soon, had I not met a random guy in the park one Sunday when I was looking for something to do, and I just went up to a group of skaters who had these free skates. I don't know if you guys know what free skates are. They're definitely worth a Google or an Instagram search, because here I am almost 2 months later, bought my own pair, of course, and have slowly begun to master it. One of the coolest ways of riding something, because I don't really think it could be classified as a skateboard. But yeah, all I'll say is it's worth a Google. But this guy told me about the coolest program, and had I went to Google it myself, I probably never would have stumbled upon it. But that's the beauty of meeting people from around the world, that you're able to learn from their life and from their experiences, and maybe something is applicable to you. For instance, the whole reason I'm here in Argentina. I traveled to Brazil for Año Nuevo, New Year's, this past January, or technically December, January, for New Year's Eve. I had not a plan in the world. I knew that I wanted to see Rio de Janeiro, and that I had about 3 weeks to kill in between my college semesters, or technically the end of my college semester, and I wanted to go see Rio de Janeiro. I ended up coming down with the flu and being in one of the most beautiful places on earth for 5 days in a hostel, in a private room, not interacting with anybody. But as soon as I was well, I met a friend from Argentina. And, it was a friendship that didn't really progress more than the one day that I was there, my last day in Ubatuba, right outside São Paulo in Brazil. But this friend and I kept in touch after my trip. And she told me amazing things about Buenos Aires. And I decided to book my flight here. And here I am, about, 6-8 months later. And I am extremely grateful that I was able to come to a place as amazing as Buenos Aires. in one of the biggest cities that I've ever been in, let alone lived in, that somehow has the feel of a small town with people that are so eager to love and to help in whatever way they can. It truly is an amazing thing. I would never have thought these things would have happened had I not gone out into the world and met these amazing people who helped me with the next steps in my life. You know, nothing here is set in stone. Nothing is figured out. But I'll tell you what, when you find something that you're remotely interested in, why not? Why not just give it all you got, point your feet in a direction, and just start walking? Just see what could happen. That's something that my family, my mom and my dad have always told me. Just why not? Why not see what happens? You can always come home. You can always return to whatever makes you feel comfortable. But why not just go see? So I packed up everything I had in a couple of bags and I moved to Argentina. And let me tell you, that was the best decision of my entire life. I would never have thought to do this podcast had my friend Zach, who, mind you, I hadn't talked to for about 3-4 years prior to this new change in my life. But I never would have started the podcast had he not himself taken the leap to go see what it was like to live in Spain. Ideas are spread through conversations. I want to help spread some of the ideas that I'm learning from people by spreading the conversations that we're having together. I don't know if you guys have ever been in a conversation and thought to yourself, I wish people could hear this conversation as I'm hearing this conversation. It's one thing to tell others about an interesting conversation, but a complete other to listen to the conversation as it is happening. So this will be my first attempt at doing something fun, memorable, and if all goes according to plan, helpful to somebody anywhere out there. The last thing I wanted to talk about is the meaning for the name of this podcast, Zarpado. Now let me, for my friends in Estados Unidos, I'll do a spelling for you. Zarpado. Zarpado. Anyone who knows me can agree that the most common words in my vocabulary are words such as amazing, cool, the best thing ever, the best day of my life, or just about anything that can be described as unbelievable or incredible. Knowing myself at this point in my life, I would say that is probably the sum of my vocabulary. Talking about, thinking about, telling about something amazing. Well, what if I told you that I came to Argentina and found a word that somehow managed to encapsulate all of these meanings into one word? That word, my friends, is zarpado. A word used to describe just about anything that is, was, or will be the greatest thing ever. A word created for me. And a word that I will use to lead me to amazing places with amazing people all around the world. So tune in each week to meet new people, hear new stories, and learn new, interesting, and always amazing things about our home, planet Earth. and the unique people who live on it. Vamos amigos, porque este tiempo será zarpado.